the Center for East Asian Studies at the University of Kansas. In this video, I will be briefly going over the cultural term yokai and what it means, with lots of photos, and at the end, a small sampling of resources for you to find out more about yokai. First, you might notice the way we spell yokai here, with a U after the O. I'll keep the explanation short. There are something called long vowels in Japanese that you might see written in different ways when writing Japanese words with the English alphabet. This way of writing it is just a direct transfer of what the hiragana for the word are. Hiragana are Japanese alphabet characters. When some people they learned it differently though. So sometimes, instead of the U, you'll see it written with an O with a line over it, or just a plain O. There's not necessarily a wrong way to do it, as long as you're consistent. As for yokai themselves, you might have heard of some of them before, like Kappa, or Kitsune, or Tanuki. Perhaps you've heard yokai called Japanese monsters, or ghosts. These aren't really wrong translations per se, but it isn't quite right either. However you spell it, yokai is one of those cultural terms that is better left as is, like kimono, tatami, or ramen. This is because yokai come in many different forms. Like most things, including humans, there are a lot of different types of yokai, and they are rarely only good or only bad. The most common yokai are those that are based on animals, or are human-like. But there are even some yokai that used to be everyday items, like sandals. Tales of yokai have been around for a very long time, from all over Japan. Some of the oldest stories we have of them are over 1,000 years old. Yokai are viewed differently in each place you go. Some yokai are viewed as pests to get rid of, some as powerful beings to be afraid of, or benevolent entities to be worshipped. Sometimes they're simply mysterious, yet harmless, or even friendly neighbors. And there are many times that the same type of yokai will be seen differently depending on where you are in Japan, and will also change over time. In the 18th century, there was a surge in the popularity of yokai, and many authors and artists began to preserve and create stories of yokai. Some of these yokai were based on old local legends, and some were ones they just made up, often based on puns. One of Japan's most famous folklorists, Toriyama Sekien, compiled images and descriptions of over 200 yokai. Seeing how diverse they can be, hopefully you can see why monster and ghost aren't always the best fit when trying to translate yokai. Monsters, if you look at dictionary definitions, are generally imaginary creatures which are large, ugly, and or frightening. While it's true some yokai might fit this description, there are also many that don't. That's why calling yokai monsters can give the wrong impression. What about ghosts? Ghosts are lingering spirits of the dead, usually with grudges that are keeping them here. Japanese already has a word for these, and it's yurei. Some people consider yurei to be a type of yokai, while others consider them to be a different thing entirely. It depends on how someone defines yokai. So, we'll just stick with yokai. But how does one define yokai then? Well, it isn't the easiest thing to do since it can change so much from community to community, but let's finally try. A decent definition is that yokai are supernatural entities, creatures, and spirits that interact with humans, with each other, and the world in various ways, often resulting in mysterious phenomena. Monsters and ghosts might be some of the yokai, but there's so much more to them than that. There are so many different types, and if you want to learn more about yokai, and I hope you do, here are just a few of the great resources out there to discover more yokai. And, of course, for you manga and anime fans, here's just a couple recommendations for you. Mizuki Shigeru was another incredibly famous and influential creator responsible for a resurgence in interest in yokai in Japan more recently. His series, Gegege no Kitaro, from 1960, is an oldie but goodie and has been inspiration for many newer series today. Natsume's Book of Friends is one of those newer series, and a personal favorite of mine. It's a sort of supernatural, slice of life story, a very relaxing yet fun watch. And speaking of fun to watch, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this brief introduction about yokai and are excited to learn more about them.